Everybody is talking about the Sigma 1.4 lenses. This is 30mm 1.4. In this video I will tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and give you an idea if this lens can make your footage look better. This video is very detailed and I will summarize all my thoughts in the end of the video. But if you really are interested in this lens or if you are planning to buy it, I really recommend you to watch the whole video. The Sigma 30mm is one of the three contemporary aperture 1.4 lenses that often are referred to as the Sigma Trio. I own all three of these lenses and I will soon review the 16mm 1.4 and the 56mm 1.4. The focal length 30mm is equivalent to 45mm on Sony aps-c cameras. It is a great focal length for street photography or everyday photography or portraits or product photographies. I've been using this lens a lot and I really like that you can do so much with it. This specific lens has a Sony E-mount, but the Sigma lenses are also available for other systems such as the Canon M system and the Micro Four Thirds systems. Most of the things I go through in this video is also applicable for those other systems, but you should be aware that there could be some minor differences. The Sigma 31.4 is built of composite and metal, which gives a nice premium feel to the lens. It's actually surprisingly small for being such a fast lens. It's just slightly larger than the kit lens. The detail finish is really excellent and the focus ring is super smooth. The filter diameter is 52mm. It has 9 rounded diaphragm blades and it has an aperture 1.4 to 16. If you are planning to buy this lens, you are probably expecting a very shallow depth of field and a very creamy bokeh. The Sigma 30mm 1.4 definitely delivers both and will not make you disappointed. If you look at the lights here, they are almost round, slightly lemon-shaped. Here is a photo at aperture 1.4. I have also shot this photo at aperture 4.5 to mimic the kit lens at 30mm. Maybe you have heard that the autofocus is a bit poor because the first versions of this lens had problems with the firmware, but there has been a firmware update and now the autofocus is really good. The autofocus is generally really quiet, and if you only take still photos you will never notice it. Depending on your camera you might hear some focus noise for videos. The Sony a5100 struggles a bit more with the focus than the Sony a6400, and it's also just have an internal microphone, so I have heard some noise in it. But normally I use this lens with my Sony a6400 and I often have an external microphone, so I never really had any problems with the focusing noise. This is what it sounds like on the Sony a5100, but I have cranked up the volume to 200%. If you want to focus manually, you should know that this lens is only controlled by wire. The focus ring is really smooth, but it is a slightly different feeling if you are used to have a mechanically direct control of your focus. Overall, the image quality is brilliant. It's just amazing that you can get this great image quality for those money. This lens could easily be taken for a lens from Sigma's more expensive art line. Right now this lens is about $300 at Amazon. You can check out the link in my description for the current price. It's very sharp already at aperture 1.4 and just gets sharper when you step it down. At aperture 4 it's totally sharp from corner to corner. There is some chromatic aberration at aperture 1.4. but it's easily corrected in Lightroom and I have never really had any problems with it. The backlight abilities such as lens flares could be a little bit better, but this lens comes with a lens hood and it's not very common that you end up in those difficult backlight situations. The aperture 1.4 is super fast and it's really good in low light situations. You should also consider that this lens has no image stabilization, so if your camera don't have IBIS or you don't use a gimbal or something like that, you really need to be steady when you are shooting videos. But you can really get some great video footage from this lens, and I have used it a lot for videos. Time for my summary and conclusion. Let's start with the pros and cons. On the pros, we have great sharpness corner to corner from aperture 4, and the center sharpness is great already from aperture 1.4. It has great low light capabilities. The f1.4 is super fast. It has a beautiful creamy bokeh, great build quality, and most of all, great value for money. I can't really stress this enough. On the cons, we have chromatic aberration, and there is no image stabilization. As you can see, the keyword here is great, because this is simply a great lens. I am very impressed, and since it's so versatile, I can really recommend it to almost everybody. And I can also mention that all those 3 Sigma lenses in this 1.4 trio are excellent. And if 30mm is a focal length that is useful for you, just go and buy it. That is my recommendation. If you are interested in more lenses for Sony mirrorless cameras, check out my other reviews. I have already reviewed the Sony 18-105 aperture 4, and I will soon review my other Sigma 1.4 lenses. Thanks for watching.